everybody. Welcome back to this encore episode of AWS Power Hour Machine Learning, a show to help developers leverage AWS AI services, making apps more intelligent. I'm Kirsten Dupart, lead machine learning technical curriculum developer. This is my friend Dion. He's a senior cloud technologist, and we are both with AWS training and certification.
Hey everyone, welcome back to this special final season 1. I can't believe it. we had to come back, right? We
did. We did. We just finished a 7-episode season that ran from like late July to early September. But we really had such a great time and such a great response that we decided to put together one last episode to wrap it all up.
I'm so glad we're back. So this is a great chance to put a nice little bow on this first season. So, chat, where are you connecting in from today? Where is that?
It's our favorite part, seeing where everyone's from.
I'm in Seattle with you, Kirsten. So
yeah, you are. I mean, I am waiting for my friends to come and get me. I'm trying to get abducted over here, so that's where I am.
Have Kansas City, Phoenix, not so sunny Melbourne.
Not so sunny Melbourne.
Fair enough. Fair enough. It wasn't sunny in Seattle today either, right? Right, Kirsten? I don't know.
No, it's not. It's supposed to get back up there next week, but right now it is very much fall.
So
fall.
That's totally fake, right? Is that what that means? Like
it might be totally fake.
That's awesome. So we will also like to know like who's new, who's returning. So in the chat, just put new or returning. Just type it in there. We want to know, like, are you back with us? Are you, it's your first time and now you're having fun? Returning, new, that's good. New as well, that's awesome. Well, you're going to have a little bit of fun today with us. So we're a little bit weird, so tiny bit. I'll say I'm weird.
A little bit
Kirsten,
weird. I'm not weird at all. I'm not weird at all. So.
We established that you were, what was it in episode 5? Something about abducted already, or I can't remember what that was. Yeah. When we asked the question of who is Kirsten.
Yeah, she's an alien in my dreams. I
awesome.
mean, this
Second
really is
time,
still,
that's awesome.
Yeah, this is still my favorite thing to see, where everyone's from, who's new, who's been with us. So a big, huge welcome to everybody again. And for today, our special season is also extended. So we're going to do a 75-minute power hour. So
real
now
power hour.
Yeah, in our first 7 episodes, we covered a lot. You guys who've been with us know that. After an introduction to machine learning for developers, we dedicated the episodes after that to different AI services that AWS has to offer. So things like Amazon Textract, Comprehend, Code Guru, Kendra, Connect, Lex, and Personalized. So we covered a lot.
Yeah, we did cover a bunch. And that's why we want to use this episode to help you bring some of what you learned together to start developing AI-driven solutions for like real-life business problems. And also talk about some of the foundation ML concepts that you will need as you continue building those ML solutions.
Yeah, and we have some really great segments and a whole bunch of awesome guests to help us today, many of whom are going to look familiar if you've seen some episodes with us before. So we're going to start by bringing back Ben Snively. He's a principal SA. He'll be with us to demo an end-to-end solution of some of the services, using some of the services we've talked about. Kind of a nice way of connecting the dots between some of our earlier episodes. So that'll be good. And then we have Jillian Armstrong and Solomon Aviola to join us. They're going to walk us through the ML concepts and some topics that developers might need to understand or might want to look into to really help them take more advantage of the AI services that we've talked about. Because, even though the AI services are just an API call away, they really are, as buttery as we've been talking about. There's ML related things that you should know more about to really effectively leverage them. And then our last 2 segments are a surprise. So you will just have to wait and see who we have back for you guys.
Sir, I picked up the perfect color. Surprise, sir.
Yes. That color screams, those colors scream surprise.
I know, right?
Perfect. Yeah.
So that sounds really great. So end-to-end ML concepts. We have returning with Jillian and Ben, as well as Solomon as a new guest. That's going to be pretty good. So
Yep.
let's go to it. So let's bring Ben in. Let me switch over into here. Say, hey Ben. So first
Ben.
guest, principal essay specializing in data science, and he will walk us through the demo that he has. Welcome back.
Yeah, no, love being back. Thanks for having me.
So Ben, what are you here to show us today? What solution do you have for us?
So in today's solutions, we're going to be showing how you use these different AI services and really stitch them together to build a end-to-end solution to process social media data. We're going to be showing Twitter data, but you could use this for Reddit and other social media forums and stuff like that. So yeah, it's really cool because what you could do is you could take that, you could really use it for your company's hashtags or organizations. We're going to be processing both text and imagery together to show how to get a multi-lens view of what's happening on social media and kind of have some fun queries in the process.
So
awesome.
That sounds really good, but by now you should know that I'm a big architecture fan, right? So architecture diagrams, so that's my only way to wrap my head around complex topics. Like that's my way. So do you have one for us?
I knew you were going to ask that.
I do, absolutely.
Awesome. Let's go and take a look at that. Awesome.
So I'll put in slideshow mode. So this is what the architecture. This is what the architecture looks like. Essentially, what we're doing is we're collecting tweets from the streaming interface for from Firehose. So this is using the Twitter Firehose. We're collecting all that information. We're actually using a mix of analytical and machine learning services in the solution. You see that pretty common where you need to be able to collect data, massage it before you run these different models and that sort of thing. So within there, we're collecting all the tweets. It's getting stored into a location in S3. We're calling all these butter services to be able to really enrich the data, and then hopefully show you how you could really drive some insights, build additional models, that sort of thing under the covers.
So for anyone that wasn't with us, the butter services, those are the AI services. So the analogy that we've been making, which refers back to something that Jillian Armstrong, who is with us today, so she did tell us that we have 3 layers inside of the stack of ML services. At the bottom, it's like if you own your own dairy farm and you made your butter. So that's really hard. In the middle layer, it's you buy milk at the grocery store and then you churn your own butter. Still hard, but not as hard as owning a dairy farm, I guess. And then the easier way, which is my way, is you just go to the grocery store and you buy butter. So that's why we call them the butter services. So
yeah, absolutely. So over here on the right hand side, you can see we're using 3 of those butter services where we're just buying the different blended flavors of butter to get our job done.
So Ben, that looks great. I love that we've got the architecture diagram up there. Can you explain a little bit about how it's getting kicked off from the left side with the Twitter stuff, the tweets and all of that? How's that getting started?
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially what we're doing is we're capturing all these tweets. And the really cool thing about this is, we're using these higher level services to capture tweets as well and really store them on S3 to be able to then post-process them. So through here, you can actually see, the services collecting the tweets. We can see how many records are coming in, per time frame under the covers. And then, through that, it's able to absorb and really handle any of that traffic under the covers. The really cool thing about this is we actually had this solution deployed out at multiple re-events. And you can imagine, if we're listening to AWS tags, you're going to see orders of magnitude spikes of Twitter activity for a re-event. And the services were able to just absorb that, collect all the data for us. It automatically scaled. It's really kind of cool how you can set this up, and it's really operating at a higher level there.
So we have a question from Jet. He's asking, or she is asking, is this data set available to us?
So
great question.
Yeah, absolutely. So this solution actually is part of the solution builder. So we have a cloud formation template where if you want to stand this up and set it up for your organization, you could actually do that if you go to kind of the solution builder site. There's some templates out there to be able to stand this up. So kind of long story short, we don't host the data ourselves, but you could stand this up and start reading the data using your account. You could set up an account with Twitter and start collecting all this data pretty easily to be able to do this for yourself.
Oh,
Awesome.
I see. Stock trader bot. We got some cool ideas going. Ben, I can see on the architecture that it looked like Kinesis Firehose is being used to collect the tweets. Can you go a little bit more into detail on how that's set up?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually,
Like,
this metric we're looking at is actually a Firehose metric that we're looking on the
Oh,
Firehose and seeing how many tweets are performing. But to kind of show the setup, right, of the Firehose itself, it's nice because what you could do is you could set up this to collect real time data. You specify this S3 location, and a lot of times when you're talking these machine learning and AI services, a lot of it hinges on having the data in S3. There's other methodologies to call it, encoding the data, that sort of thing. But if you have the data in S3, it makes your life very, very easy as like a central data lake. So essentially, the Firehose is actually storing all this data into this raw location. You'll see we actually store other information here, like our Reddit information, our media extracted labels, our entities from entity extraction, our sediment of what the temperature is of all the tweets. So all this data is getting collected in S3. And if we want to take a look really quickly at what that looks like in the raw form, what we could do is I'm just using S3 select here just to look at one of the files. And what we could do here is, we could actually say show preview. And here we could actually see some of the tweets we're collecting. So this one has to do with the Seahawks.
hey. Yeah.
We're collecting, thousands and thousands and thousands of these over time, and want to be able to
Wow.
really enrich it through the process.
that's awesome. So, like, to this point, we talked about Twitter ingestion inside of, well, Firehose, data is inside of S3. Fine, but like this is an ML show. So can you tell us where the ML is being used here? Because in this architecture diagram, I can see like, well, comprehend, translate, recognition. So tell us about that side.
Yeah. So essentially, you're saying let's get to the butter, right?
Yeah, please, please.
So yeah, what's happening here is as soon as the data hits S3, right? What we want to do is we want to start using these butter services to really enrich the data. So what we're doing is we're collecting all these tweets in different languages. So they're coming in Arabic and Portuguese and Spanish and all these different languages, and we want to translate them. And we do that through these Lambda hooks. So if you want to kind of see some of the code here, we could check what language the tweet is, and make sure it's zoomed in. Let me know if you need me to zoom in at all. Hopefully that's big enough.
One more.
One more?
One
Excellent.
more.
All right.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Perfect. So here you could actually see Twitter tells us what language it's in. If it didn't, there's actually a service that we could call saying, hey, what language are you? If you're not English, let's go ahead and translate you, those sorts of things. And you'll notice within kind of 10 lines of code, we've translated the tweet from a different language to English. Then what we could do is we could run sediment analysis, we could run entity extraction, we could run all these different elements throughout here, to be able to get the data back. And then here what you can see is we're actually using Firehose to write the data back to that new S3 location. So we collect all this data, we have all this enriched data, then we're storing it back into S3, and from there we can build our dashboards and do kind of all that jazz under the covers. Kind of cool thing to look at.
I like the comment. It's like butter with metadata.
Very nice.
I also got a hi John, hi back Selena. Nice to see you too.
So, kind of the cool thing here is, we're logging all this information. So what we could do is we could actually look in the logs here and see some of the tweets, so to kind of make it a little bit more real. Here we could actually see, this is the sediment for this particular tweet, it was positive with a score of 0.56. So we're not really that sure it's positive, right? It's only a 0.56 score of positive. Here's all the entities. So remember, episode 3, we talked about entity extraction and types and that sort of thing. So you could see kind of the different types and the text here.
So score here is that's the confidence score, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So if we look at like positive scores here, here's in this one log file, all the positive tweets, and you'll notice the confidence of some of these are very high, 0.999, 0.993. Some of them are pretty low, like, oh, it's tagged positive, but it's only 0.54. So these become important as you're having your discussions later on.
Awesome. I think Jillian is going to talk to us about this, so we'll leave that for later. That's good.
Yeah.
So
Ben,
confidence
you also
score.
earlier mentioned that we were gonna process images. Can you talk a little bit about how that works?
Yeah, absolutely. So within these tweets themselves, we actually, there could be an image inside that as well. So what we do is we actually take that image and we call that and call into another Lambda function. So, if we want to take a look at that, what we could see is we could see, through another call, we're actually doing this in another subsequent Lambda function. Technically, actually, that's a little bit of technical debt. We could have done it in the same Lambda function. I just implemented it slightly differently. So you're seeing we all have technical debt. So, here we could actually see, within kind of that line of code here, we could do things like detect labels. And within detect labels, we could extract, if the tweet is talking negatively or positively about my product, I could understand what the product is. I could understand what images are being taken of it. For example, is there a robot or alien in the image? Like, that sort of alien under the covers, so that you could kind of see some of that information. So
that's awesome.
Always.
And it's the first time we're hearing about that recognition service, right? We haven't talked about this at all. So can you give us a little bit of information on that service? Like we see labels get right there, but what does it do?
Yeah. So recognition is one of our butter surfaces that has all the models built in. You could actually train your own models. You could customize it, much like some of the other services we talked about. Creating custom models in Personalize, or custom models in Comprehend, that sort of thing. But what it allows you to do is it's a computer vision service. So if you have an image and you want to understand, I missed the beach. I have a picture in the background to remind me of it. So like if you want to see all the images that have a sunset on it, just to kind of brighten up your day, you could use the service. It'll automatically tag that, and it has many different calls. Object detection is one of them, to be able to look at images or video and kind of see kind of what's in that image itself.
So videos as well, so you can detect beaches within videos. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of features to handle both, static images as well as videos, to be able to, have, really a wide number of use cases for the computer vision type of problems.
And Jet is asking, is this Python here that we're looking at?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. And John, I apologize. Is it Node.js is your favorite?
Yeah, come on. I'm pretty sure that's what Jet meant. What are you doing here? Come on.
Yeah, async waterfall callbacks. No, this is Python. Here. But the whole power of these services is this happens to be Python, but they're all APIs. So if you do want to use Node or Java or Go or any of those SDKs, or call the API directly, some of the real power of this is it's a simple interface, and you can do it from many different programming languages. But this is Python here.
Awesome. Well, Jet was on my side, so thank you.
There's some other people on your side too. Virtual Gills on your side. I feel like there's probably more too.
I like Node. I'm just busting chops.
We would never do that on this show.
So let me bring back the architecture diagram for a second. So we have the Twitter feed on the left, right? So let me remove that. So Twitter feeds arrive. We go into S3, you use Lambda to be able to use translate, comprehend, and recognition, throw that back into well, towards S3 and via Kinesis. So how do we see this? Can you, like, how do we see this data? Because you showed it to us via CloudWatch, which I'm guessing is when we were directly looking at the feeds back, right? So can you show us the other side?
Yeah, absolutely. So I happen to be using Athena in this case, to be able to query the data.
Okay.
You could do that and like build these different BI dashboards. I won't go into a whole bunch of dashboards because, BIs are nice for dashboarding, but we're all developers and engineers. We want to see code and stuff like that. So naturally, I'm gonna briefly show this and jump right into some notebooks. So what we could do here is, let's say we're in SageMaker, and we want to use some of this data, to be able to build some additional models, or maybe I'm in an application, right? And I want to use Node.js to be able to call into these. If we actually look at what some of the code is to start analyzing and retrieving some of the insights that we captured here, it's really quite easy to start pulling that from kind of that data lake on S3. And there's really a couple ways to do that. If you're building models, you might scan over the entire data set, or you might do things like use Athena to be able to pull pieces of the data here. For example, if we want to take a look at some of the tweets,
make it a little bit bigger.
Yes, absolutely.
Tiny bit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice.
Good call. So here what we could do is, you'll notice I'm actually doing like a select statement. This is using Athena to read the data out of S3 as if it's a database. So I know this, if folks are new to Athena, what I'm doing here is I'm actually doing SQL to query that data in S3 as it sits. So I didn't like preload it into like a real relational database in some sense. I know we haven't really talked much about Athena, but that's the essence of it. So we can see all the tweets here. We can see all the hashtags. What's kind of cool is we can start looking at things like, let's say I want to pull back all the entities across all these Twitter feeds. And here you can see various entities. Remember, it's entity extraction. We're using comprehend. So there's an entity type, like a quantity, organization, location, person. We can see how many tweets have various types. We can start looking at things like various locations. So if we have the location element, we can actually see many of the tweets are talking about US or London or Bahrain or Toronto, these different locations. And this location is different than the location that the tweet originated from, right? What we're asking is, what we're asking is, what are what locations are the tweets talking about, not what so we have both of those pieces of data that we could really manipulate and use and that sort of thing.
So what you're saying is that people that talks about AWS never talk about Canada. That's not fun.
Toronto,
I'm gonna have to.
Oh,
wait. Okay, I stopped. Okay, I'm done. That's good. Okay, I'm good.
Number 4. Come on.
Awesome.
So we have entities, we have sediment, right? We can start combining these. We can see, how many positives, negatives, neutrals there are. What's kind of cool is you can start looking at machine translation, right? Here's the various tweets in different languages. I don't know all these languages like French and Spanish, and there might be some Arabic that comes up here. Here's Portuguese. But what we can do is we're using all these AI butter services to be able to, translate them, understand it, understand the sediment, kind of all that jazz under the covers there.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah. What I could do really quickly is also show on the image side. I didn't actually show any of the queries of images as well. But what you could do here is you can start combining these with, various image filters. So give me all the tweets that talk about robots. What are the entities being described in the text? So now we're combining the imagery, what's in the images, and I could do aggregations across this data as well. I could say what are all the top labels, kind of all that jazz. But I really care about robots because I think robots are gonna kind of fly into space and talk to aliens for me. What we can see here is we could see here's the sediment, the various entities that were pulled. But what we could also do is we could also start looking at some of these images. If I'm kind of randomly picking these, which could be dangerous. But look, it's a robot.
It's not bad.
It looks like a robot to me.
Yeah.
So what we had in that line item, right, is we had the sediment, we had the text, we had all the entity extraction and the natural language processing from the text, and then we're also combining that with the image processing of what's in the images themselves.
That's awesome. Wow. So like if we go back to that architecture diagram, the tweet arrives, and then there is a picture in it, there is some text about it, then it gets all processed by Lambda via those Butter services, so no knowledge about ML to be done much there, and then brought back into SRE, and you just run SQL statement against knowing if there was a robot in the picture or not. That's pretty cool against the entire data set. That's awesome. I like that, Ben.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. And then we got a question from earlier. Speaking about Twitter and all of that, Jet was asking, can we follow y'all on social media? Well, definitely. Like yes. I do talk about random stuff on there, but hey, sometimes outside of maple syrup, I will talk about AWS. So
every now and then I talk about things that are unrelated to aliens and UFOs. Sometimes.
Awesome. So thank you, Ben, for this demo. Like, it's really helpful to see like something completely integrating these AI services and seeing something at the end. So really, that's a pretty cool and creative solution. So thanks again for coming back on the show and helping us wrap this season. So pretty glad to have you back.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Ben, that was awesome. And there was a comment in the chat too from Cecil that this is such a powerful example to learn from. So I wanted to make sure you know that. And it really was. So thank you.
Okay. See you, Ben.
Thanks.
Bye, Ben. So you guys, we loved seeing that real life example of building an AI-driven solution in the AWS cloud. So hopefully that little taste of end-to-end was exciting for you guys too. Sounds like it was. But of course, like we kind of mentioned in the beginning, right, developing solutions that really work for you and your customers entails knowing more about all of this than just the AI services. You really need to have some knowledge of machine learning related concepts to make sure that you're using the services and machine learning in general for the right reason, right? So to help us with this conversation about ML topics, we do have a couple of experts. We've got Jillian Armstrong, who's been with us before, and then Solomon Abiola, who's a new guest for us. So wanted to say what's up to them. Hi guys, welcome to the show. Hey. Or welcome back to the show.
Super excited.
Yay!
Exactly. That's awesome. It's so good to have you both here. Like, some of you might remember, well, Jillian over there, right? So it's Jillian from our very first episode and she's from Liberty IT. I keep saying that. And then solution architect and AWS ML hero. So she worked really hard to be getting that status. So congrats again on that. That's awesome. And we also have Solomon Abiola, who works as the lead data scientist for AWS Educate. He's developing their data strategy and using data science solutions to provide personalized experience for more than 1 million customers. And really, that's the person I like. I'm so far away from that side. Like, I'm the butter guy. He's the one that works with the farm. Like, he has a farm and churn butter. Like, yeah. He does all of it. It's just that, yeah, I can't go away from the butter layer. So glad to have you, Solomon.
You guys are heavy hitters. We are so glad you guys are here. Let's just jump right into it. Jillian, I'm going to start with you. A common theme throughout this whole show is how easy it is to use our AI services. You're the one that gave us the analogy, the butter analogy, right? It really does just come down to an API call. So why do we even need to talk about other ML concepts?
Sure. Well, I think in the same way that you probably wouldn't eat butter by itself. Maybe John would. I don't know.
John might. He might.
Probably will.
You only really get something really amazing, like a cake, when you combine them with other things, like you've just seen Ben do. So to do that, to make a cake, you need to know what you're doing, what you're trying to make, what your ingredients are, and how you're going to decide if it's good. And in AI, that comes down to understanding the problem you're trying to solve, understanding the things that go into a good AI solution, like your data, and understanding some of the different methods of knowing how good your AI solution is. And some of those are statistical measures about the model itself, and some of them can be business metrics.
Fair enough. That's awesome. So like bringing them back, like figuring out a way to bring the business into all of this. That's a good part. And then Solomon, as a data scientist, if you're talking to a developer who wants to start using the AI services, in addition to familiarizing themselves with those services, what do they really need to understand about ML? Like what's the first place they need to start, in your opinion?
Well, I think one thing you want to do is you're presented with these data science opportunities. First question you want to ask yourself is, what is the business problem that we're trying to solve here? Or better yet, what is our customer trying to achieve? So, at Amazon, we're very customer-centric and obsessed. If you really focus on the customer's objectives, you'll be able to do two things that I try and do whenever I solve a data science problem. That's deliver actionable data that our end user customer can act upon, and not just do AI for the sake of doing AI.
Yeah, the first rule of machine learning is don't use machine learning if you don't need machine learning. Sometimes a good regular expression is all you need, but that should become really clear from looking at and really understanding your data.
Definitely, regular expression, those are the best. So I changed my mind. Perl is the best programming language. That's it. I regular expressions in Perl. That's it. I'm done.
We all heard it. We all heard it. So it seems like you guys are like a big part of this is understanding your business problem and understanding your data. I feel like that's a really linear sentence thing to say, but why is that so crucial, and what exactly do we mean by understanding your data? Solomon, maybe you can take that one.
Yes. So, again, when we're talking about understanding our data, you really want to think about what is the customer and user trying to understand about data. Like I said, it's very easy to make, amazing models and graphs and figures to create cool models and so forth. But is that really going to answer a customer problem? If you remember earlier in the season, we covered Amazon Kendra. And, with COVID-19 happening, one of the things that the AWS team has put out there is cord19.aws. So this is a website actually built on AWS Kendra and AWS Comprehend Medical. And what we basically have done there is taken training data from a lot of medical sources to develop a solution that, customers, you might be curious about, well, what are my COVID-19 symptoms? Is COVID-19 infectious, or how is it infectious, and so forth? And this really all comes down to, teasing out what is factual data that we fed into Kendra and Comprehend. And so these are very important key concepts whenever you're building any ML models. What is going to be my training data? If you think about like another example, let's say you're working in fraud, or you're doing something in financial services, trying to do a lot of rarity detection. We have a service called AWS Fraud Detector. And one of the problems that comes up a lot in the fraud space or rarity space is having a balanced data set. So when you think about, okay, fraudulent event, hopefully, someone's not using your credit card to do illegal activities. But when they do, you want to make sure you flag that incident as an actual fraud incident. And so a lot of these ML algorithms require you to kind of balance that data. So basically, if you're looking at the figure on the screen, it's representing a really, really small, we're talking like, maybe 0.01% of your entire data set was fraudulent, and the rest of it is normal transactions. And there's various approaches that you can use to actually balance your data. And so the whole effort here, if you step back, is really about how do I minimize bias in my data? And you'll hear a lot about bias in AI and machine learning. There's different ways to interpret that, but the key thing is really ask yourself questions about the data that you're handed. Really interrogate it. Is it the right source? Is going to allow me to ask the right questions about the data, and is it reliable? So you'll hear about like veracity and so forth when it comes to like data.
I like that. Interrogate your data, really dig into it, ask questions, get in there.
Yeah, like really understanding what you have inside of that data, and knowing like when you have problems like that imbalanced data set that I have right there. But yeah, I like that.
It's such a beautiful diagram, John.
Pardon? I know. Okay. I like, hey, It's very difficult. Like, I can't draw straight. Like, I failed at arts at school, so
I
there's
can't
a
do it.
reason.
The diagram itself isn't balanced either, so you know.
Right? That's what I was going for.
It's a metaphor.
That's what I was going for.
Metaphor. I love it. I think as well as your training data, you need to think about the data you're going to be sending to the service, especially when you're using those out-of-the-box services that you aren't training yourself. So you saw Ben using comprehend sentiment analysis. You don't have to do anything to train it. You just call that API. Really quick and easy to use, but it might not work for your particular data. So for instance, I'm from Northern Ireland, and obviously it'd be really easy to see that I was super angry in an email because it would be really, really, really polite, and it would be signed regards. Well, you know, maybe really easy if you're also from Northern Ireland, but perhaps not for people from other countries, or maybe for comprehend. So in that case, I might need to go and write my own classifier instead of just being able to use the out-of-the-box service.
So
yeah, that's a great point you're mentioning, Julian, about writing your own classifier. And, you know, that's something that AWS Comprehend allows you to do, is actually create your own classifiers. Of course, you know, this brings us back to our original discussions around developing training data sets. And a lot of things in ML, when we do a lot of these kind of demos and so forth, is that, oh, I have a nice, clean, labeled data set. And the reality is you're going to find out that a lot of data is not labeled. So AWS, we provide some tools to help you with that. You might have heard about Mechanical Turk, and AWS SageMaker, Ground Truth. But whether or not you're using these services, the key thing to understand is that, you know, what question am I trying to answer again? So once you select a service, you really want to start thinking about, okay, do I have all the data I need to leverage this service to its fullest potential? And if I don't, if I need to label it, let me try and leverage some of these labeling services, or maybe I have to do some hand labeling depending on maybe data sensitivity and so forth.
I've been labeling data lately.
Oh.
You can get into a nice Zen state.
Oh gosh. Is that the Irish talking, or can you really get into a Zen state? I'm wondering, just talking about real quick as a follow-up question with the labeled data, and we're talking about training data. So when you're training a machine learning model, you want to expose it to things. And so when John was identifying up above, you're right, this is a fraudulent data point. This is a not fraudulent data point. The model has to be shown the difference between fraud and not fraud, so that you can train it, and then it can be turned loose on data that it hasn't seen to hopefully make some predictions. Is that what we're talking about? Why we need labeled data?
Yes. So this, you know, if you think about like just putting a few concepts here, it's kind of like, you know, you'll hear about supervised, unsupervised, and semi-supervised machine learning. And really what we have to do here is this kind of hand labeling activity, is because the algorithm is not capable of learning from the data without those labels. Sure. So it's kind of like if I had a basket of fruits, right? Like I want to be able to separate fruits from vegetables. So I label like a few items like apple, banana as fruit. And, you know, then I label like, let's say celery and spinach as a vegetable. And that way now my algorithm is capable of learning, oh, this is the difference between these two items.
Perfect.
Awesome. So understanding your, going back to what you had a little bit earlier, right? So understanding your business problem and understanding your data, I see why those are important. We also talked in previous episode about evaluating the predictions that are made by services, like Comprehend here. And then those predictions were accompanied by a confidence level or score that we saw on Ben's demo earlier. So I'd assume there's some need to think about how you measure success and evaluate those predictions based on your business problems, right? Like, what should developers do about this score?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to think about. We might need a whole other season to talk about.
True.
But if we just talk about confidence score, yeah, so Ben showed it a lot, and you've seen it a lot over the season. Machine learning is really about teaching a computer to guess really well, hopefully really, really well. And confidence score is a measure, you know, unsurprisingly, of how confident the model is that it got it right. And so you need to know what your acceptable level of risk is. And in lots of software projects, that may come down to the product owner to make that call. And it's going to be really use case dependent. So for instance, I'm sure a lot of people have got a text from their bank at some point checking that a particular transaction was actually you. John, did you just buy a giant glass ball to put in your house? Or
yes.
Or was it fraud? the bank would rather slightly inconvenience you, checking that something isn't fraud, than actually miss something that was fraud. However, if instead of sending you a text, they automatically dispatched like a small alien spaceship that flew to your location and disintegrated your credit card.
Yes.
You can see why you would maybe only want to be using results with a really high confidence score, because you might be quite upset if it wasn't actually fraud. And maybe some of you are thinking, well, it's a totally unrealistic example, Jillian, but I don't know. Amazon launched the Ring Always Home camera earlier today, just before I came on, which is a camera that can fly about your house and protect your home when you're not there, like inside your house. So my hopes for what is going to get announced at reInvent are sky high. I'm just saying that, sky high.
Or you might be like me and you might want the aliens to come to your house for once.
Like, the WS disintegrator ray. Is that a real thing? That's awesome. So yeah, like you definitely want that confidence score to be like maybe at 99.9999 when the aliens are coming to zap my credit card. But when to get that phone call or whatever, I don't know, 60% is still fine with me. 75% is still fine with me. Like I would prefer to be told well before in advance. So that totally makes sense. I hope that makes sense for you guys, chat, as well. Because do you want to lose your credit card? I really don't.
So all this reminds me of why, like metrics are very important, especially when it comes to analyzing AWS machine learning services. And we've heard a lot about Comprehend, we've talked about it with examples and so forth. But another service that, we mentioned towards the end of the series was AWS Personalized. So when you think about personalization, this is something we do a lot of at Educate, that we focus on. And a lot of you may be familiar with our retail side of the business, Amazon.com. So if you think about, let's say you were searching for dog food, you expect to see the top results actually be about dog food, followed by maybe dog snacks or maybe dog treats, which are relevant, but those are not dog food.
So how do we understand sorry to jump in here, but how are we to understand if what the model produces is relevant to the customer? How's that get decided?
Yeah, so once again, there are metrics for a lot of these services out there. And for Personalized, there's actually a metric that measures basically how well the relevancy is for, the different parameters that you're searching for. And this metric is done on a scale of 0 to 1, with 1 being highly relevant. But let's say that it's important to, have an exact, relevant result. So not just, okay, dog treats is related to dog food, but like, I only want to see dog food. There's another metric that actually allows you to measure that actual precision when it comes to basically, the searches that are being performed on Personalized. But, at the end of the day, it's really important, again, what is the customer attempting to achieve here, and choose the right metrics. So, choose the right training data, choose the right service, choose the right metrics before you head into production.
So yeah, that metrics is really important for like looking at the time of the API call, right? What is coming back in that case, really important. And then like we talked about your training data that's beforehand, right? When you build the model, especially when you build the model like with Comprehend, the custom classifier where it's built on your own data, you definitely don't want to be unbalanced there. So that totally makes sense. Awesome.
Yeah, I think in addition to those model evaluations, there's business metrics to think about as well. So your machine learning solution may be really accurate based on the data used for training, but it may behave really unexpectedly when it sees live data in production. So you really need a plan for monitoring performance, and you really need a plan for what you're going to do if it's not working the way you want it to when it gets deployed. Or your AI may be great, it may be awesome, but it's not solving the problem you thought it would. So for instance, you created a chatbot and it's working really well, recognition's great, but people don't want to use it. What are you going to do? Or say those recommendations you put on your site, they are encouraging users to browse more, they're clicking on them, but it's not actually resulting in increased sales like you thought it would. What are you going to do then?
Well, you just take down the app, put it in the trash. That's it. We're done. Right? We're out of here. That was easy.
The business. Yeah.
Yeah. Like all of those months of development, it's okay. Like in the garbage. Why not? I don't see what's the problem with that. But hey, I'm a dev. It's okay.
Well, this is why it's important to focus on the metrics. Before you start setting out to solve these types of problems.
Right.
Understand the data you're going to use. Evaluate, what service are you going to select. And this is why at AWS, we provide all the developers with a lot of detailed documentation. So if there's metrics that, you're curious about that you heard tonight, or, that you want to learn a little bit more about, you can definitely, go head over to docs.aws.iamazon.com. You can learn a lot more about where these metrics generated, like, how do I maybe make some custom metrics or interpret these metrics. And so forth. But, at the end of the day, we've talked a lot about the data science and ML space, and there's so much more we can cover. You've seen what we've covered in this season to date, but it's really important to remember that data science really is about telling a story. Think about it like, the evolution almost of English intersection with mathematics. And it's really important that this story addresses a specific customer problem, and we're using tools, or as we've all been talking about, the butter, to make it as easy and as smooth as possible for developers to use.
Love it.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you too for sort of scratching the surface. I mean, at the highest possible level, there is so much we could have years worth of shows dedicated to this discussion, right? So thank you guys for coming on and explaining some of this for us, Jillian and Solomon. And I think this is kind of a great segue into another important topic for today's finale episode. Chat, I know some of you specifically asked for this topic in our last episode, and we listened. It's about where to go next on your ML learning journey, and what you should be focusing on. So what resources should you be accessing? Where can you go? And to help us talk about this, we have some awesome surprises, actually 4 of them, for you guys. Hey, Kashif, Mona, Haywood, Ben, welcome back to the show.
Surprise!
Hi, everyone.
Surprise! We brought everybody back to the party, you guys.
I know, exactly.
We're all here.
As many as we can fit on one screen.
One screen.
So great to have you all back. Like a ton of ML and developer experience right here. Plus aliens. And so I feel we're breaking some sort of Twitch records here. It has to be. Folks, we brought you on for a reason. We want to have some fun in wrapping up, or really this time, last episode of the season, but also to help us better understand where we shall go next in our ML journeys. So, Mona, let me start with you. A lot of chat just spent the last several weeks with us learning about machine learning and the Aws AI services. What should they do or learn next to keep that momentum going? Like, what will you recommend?
That's a great question, John. So I'm a person who, love to do things and learn from it, like more on hands-on person. Since we have learned like a lot of AWS AI services from all 7 sessions. So the next thing I would recommend to deep dive and get hands-on is to try our hackathons. And we recently did a hackathon called AWS Marketplace Hackathon from February to April this year. And as a part of that hackathon, you get to win so many cool prizes. And there were like thousands of participants and 57 teams involved in that hackathon, and the winner gets to even write their blog, and we can share those blogs with you in the Twitch channel. And other than that, recently we have a very cool hackathon going on, and Jillian is judging that hackathon. It's called the Mission to Mars Hackathon. Kristen, don't get confused. It's not to send you to Mars.
thought that was my chance. Mama, killing me.
Yep. Sorry. So this hackathon is the MARS stands for Machine Learning, Artificial Intelligence, and Robotics, and it's a great way, to learn AWS services, use AWS services. And another thing yeah, go ahead.
Oh,
Julie.
I think you could pick a project and get John and Kirsten to Mars. That could be your project.
Right? Like,
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now we are talking.
I'm already here, so you guys are all welcome to Mars.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
This is like away. New Netflix series away.
And registration, is it ongoing? Because hackathon, that's one way to get in there. So is it still, so the Mars thing, sending me and Kirsten to Mars, or machine learning stuff, is registration now, or when can they participate in that? Like, can they start doing the participate right now? Yeah. Okay. Awesome. That's awesome. And until when is that event going? Like, until when do they have to send Kirsten and I to Mars?
All the way through the end of the year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So plenty of time. Plenty of time.
Very cool. Very cool.
Awesome.
Kashif, I'm curious, thinking back to your own ML journey, what did you really focus on when you were first getting into the field? So we're talking about you can hop into some hackathons, you can look at past hackathon winners from events that we've had. What was your thing? How'd you get in here?
Yeah, sure. So I'll get to that, Kirsten, but just wanted to add one more comment about the Mars, as one of said. And you guys get here. The reason I'm already here because I'm one of the mentors. So as part of that,
hey! Now we get it.
You'll get to, yeah. So you can, as you are, deciding to build something cool, you can just, schedule a time slot with one of the mentors, and we'll help you, guide along the way, and as you're building some of the really cool stuff. So just want to mention that, you have all of that help as well. And there is a lot of other mentors, along with me who are helping participants be successful in the hackathon.
That's so cool. They also get access to you guys. So, like, you need to register now, like right now, to send Kirsten and I to Mars.
Let's go.
Absolutely. And we're doing some of the deep dive sessions as well. So, for example, Ben talked about recognition and text-tract and, other AI services. So we are actually doing some of the deep dive sessions, and they get recorded. So they are available as part of that hackathon as well. So, you're going through a bunch of resources to learn about these services, but then you will also get to see, for example, maybe you're looking to customize recognition and how do you detect specific objects that, that you are interested in. In that case, you can see those deep dive sessions, and again, reach out to mentors along with a lot of other resources that are at your disposal.
That just sounds like fun.
Yep. Yeah. And coming back to your earlier question, Kirsten, asking about some of the resources along with hackathon. As the whole idea about AI services, as we said, is it's about you being a developer. So the best way, I think, as a developer, I find again, a lot of times being a lazy developer, I want to see, can I get something that somebody has already written? If Ben has put together a nice solution, can I just steal that and then customize it and use it for my use case? For example, Ben showed how you could do things from social media tweets and analyze using recognition and a few other things. He showed the example where he's using recognition labels API to detect some generic objects. But maybe my use case is I want to do for my business, I want to see how people are commenting, and the post that they're posting, what are the other brands that may be talking about as part of that post. So maybe I can quickly then use the same solution, but then use recognition custom labels to, for example, train a model to detect logos and then quickly use that. So I highly suggest, folks who are learning this stuff, is look at some of the existing solutions. We have a site called Aws Solutions Library, for example. So a lot of solutions where folks like Ben and me and many other Mona and others have built those solutions. They get published on the AWS Solutions site. So you can quickly deploy those in your AWS account. You can see how they work, and connect different AWS services together. Another resource I suggest is we have GitHub repos, for example. So AWS Samples GitHub repo, as well as AWS Labs GitHub repo. So there is tons of code available. You just go to the repo, search for a specific service, or a few keywords that you're looking for, and you will find tons of code that really gets you, get started quickly. So you can then just build on top of that instead of trying to start from scratch.
That's awesome, because seriously, one of the things that I keep hearing is, like we want to get started, but like if you talk to any devs how they've actually started, like they didn't start from complete scratch, white page and then blank page, and like didn't know where to start and whatever. They looked at code already. It's built-in code, looking at examples. So like the more examples you look at, the more patterns you start seeing. So like this is fantastic way to go and learn. So I totally agree with that. Like there's so many examples on GitHub from us, on AWS Labs, and then like you said, on the solutions page of AWS, like those places, always great there. Thank you for that, Kashif. And speaking of developer background, so Haywood, you're an ex-developer, right? So how do you approach machine learning?
Yeah, I think Kashif made a really good point about stealing somebody else's hello world code or solution. I think that's really how a lot of us get our first stuff done, because there's a lot of learning value in just doing a thing. And I do agree with the GitHub repositories that AWS puts out. We have really good machine learning content. If you want to dig into SageMaker, you can see that in the SageMaker examples repository. However, I will also say that at some point, you'd like to feel like you're not pretending all the time, and you might want to learn a little bit more about machine learning theory and understand what might be going on under the covers, so that can help you troubleshoot and diagnose and fix issues down the line. I think Jillian and Solomon were making really good points about you have to understand your data, you have to understand your metrics, and how that all comes together. And I think that I'm pretty omnivorous where it comes to learning, so I don't care. AWS puts out really great stuff. Other people put out really great stuff too. And it's important to take advantage of the resources that are available. There's so much out there. You should find something that you find interesting. And if it's not interesting, switch to something else.
Yes.
You're going to want to learn theory, but putting the developer hat back on, I like to learn things by doing. So I would suggest finding an open data set. If you take something from the UCI machine learning repository or from Kaggle, the data sets are pretty easy to play with. So you can do your own analysis, and lots of other people have done the same thing before you, so you can learn from their approaches to the same problem. You'll find like Medium posts, Kaggle notebooks, each teaching you some piece of machine learning theory or some statistical concept. You're like, oh, I should have really thought of that. And so I like doing these practice problems where you can find solutions from the community. And once you feel like you can take the training wheels off, AWS does provide a registry of open data sets. And so we have some really cool partners putting content out there that you can explore. And so you can probably do something new that somebody hasn't done before. And these are the ways that I think, you're going to have to learn theory, you're going to have to do practice. You don't have to just like binge on theory and then stop, or just do practice. You can kind of go back and forth. So that's what I would suggest. Don't be afraid to try things and then check to see how other people did it.
That's really cool. And then, like, is there another way to learn some of that stuff, but with like cool projects? Like I think I see one behind Ben right now.
Yes, I was going to mention doing something fun and exciting. There's all these different devices. Here's a deep lens, a deep racer behind me. Doing these sorts of like competitions, all these have different competitions where you can participate, and it really gets exciting when you're in that engagement model. It really kind of makes it very fun to learn. So definitely taking a look at those different devices and building your own models in there, deploying them through kind of the infrastructure. It's a lot of fun to do something very tangible. Like I tried to code that to stay on the racetrack, and it got stuck on my AC unit back there, and I can't get it off. I'm trying. So
That's awesome. And then for anyone that doesn't know,
drone.
that deep racer thing that's at the back, it's an actual competition of going around the track and trying to teach that vehicle to stay on the track, but using something that's called reinforcement learning. So it's another type of machine learning type in there. And then you don't need the car though. Like, you don't need to be as fancy as Ben and having a car. I don't have one. I want one. But you can actually have it and train it on the track. And then it's extremely simple, no machine learning background required for your first pass. And then, like, you see it going, but then when you actually want it to stay even more on the track and start competing with, well, the others in that league of how fast you can go around, then you start building your own models, and then that's when you start getting deeper and deeper into it. And again, it gives you, like, you have a purpose. You're trying to get there. You're trying to do that project. And if Deep Racer is fun for you, well, there it is. If you prefer composing music, we have the Deep Composer. Well, that one I have it, but it's not at the Sphere though, so I'm sorry. But being able to do generating music from music, so generative AI, which is pretty cool as well. So that's another one for sure.
I'm actually judging next month's Chartbusters for Deep Composer. I don't spend all my time judging things, I promise, because I did such a good job, obviously, the first one. So for the chat out there, if you put in a submission, I will be personally listening to it, guaranteed, next
Very
month.
Cool. Speaking of chat, real quick, it looks like
putting something
there was a question from Shikarm about any test AWS accounts provided for the hackathon.
So for hackathons, there's no test account. You sign up, and for the winners, we provide credits. For the last hackathon we did. But for the Mars hackathon, I think Jillian or Kasif can add to it.
Yeah, but generally you can get, sign up for a free AWS account, for example, and you can use that as part of the process that you're building.
Because many of the AI services have that free tier, and then, like, exhausting that free tier, you have to translate a lot of emails from my mom. I'm sure, like that. A lot.
Right.
Awesome. Okay, and then any communities that anyone should be joining, anything like that you guys have knowledge of that people should be doing?
Yeah, I definitely think, definitely a big plug for the AWS community out there in general. It is super supportive, super friendly place. When you've gone out and you've looked at the courses and you've grabbed data and you've tried out your little GitHub and you get stuck, so who do you go to? Well, there is a whole machine learning community. There's a Slack channel that hopefully we can get popped in the chat. It's run by a couple other AWS heroes. There's lots of meetups happening. There's general AWS meetups. There's also a machine learning one called AWS Machine Learning Zero to Hero. But definitely go out, get involved in the communities. I know that there's not a lot of in-person meetups, unfortunately, happening anymore, but they've all gone virtual. So you can go to them from anywhere in the world, but definitely sign up for that Slack. There's loads of people on there who, if you go on and say, I've got this problem, will be able to help you out. And everybody is super, super supportive and really willing to help other people. And then as you get really good, then you can help other people with their problems.
That's awesome.
I love that. Yeah. It's definitely truly is a wonderful community. Like Jillian said, it's fun. Everybody's friendly. There's a lot of collaboration that's happening. So highly recommend getting involved there. Let's see. Oh, cool. Okay. So we got the chat going. You guys, we have a couple minutes left before you all run away. What do we think about having just a little bit of fun with some trivia? Maybe some questions? I don't know. What do you guys think?
Sounds fun.
I think that sounds pretty awesome. So,
Okay.
but hey, okay. So I will separate. So I'm a little bit competitive, just so everyone knows. So I think we're gonna go and split up in 2 different teams right now. So how about we do the people at the top versus the people at the bottom? So Kirsten's team versus John's team. Like, does that sound all right?
I mean, yeah, it sounds great, but it's a little bit, I mean, we could probably do something a little more exciting. Maybe my team should be called like the alien team or the UFO. You could just call us the aliens.
Like,
my people.
What?
Yes.
Okay, so fine. If you get the aliens, I get the maple syrup team. So there it is.
Okay.
Team alien, team maple syrup. Let's do that. And just for that, you start with -5 points. There it is.
What the heck, John?
And I will be sure that I play very closely to the rules of the game, for sure.
Okay, so when maple syrup is involved, I'm really taking this seriously. So what we'll do is bring up the questions and then the answers in the middle of the screen very soon. Not yet, right now. But then all 6 of you, right? Because Kirsten and I, we know the answers, so we're not. And apparently we're all in this together, so I can't give you the answers, Jillian, Ben, and Solomon. I'm sorry, but hey. So
just mark them.
If you have a piece of paper or something, you can show me your answer right up there, so that I'll be happy with. And then just put your answers in there, and no cheating allowed. Like, come on, like no cheating allowed at all.
Definitely
like,
no cheating.
No cheating.
All right. Hey!
Oh, sorry.
We don't cheating. We do want everyone to participate though. So, although we're making this a competition between our 2 different teams, we do want to get the chat involved. So, per usual, chat, you guys just type a 1, 2, 3, or a 4 for the answer that you believe is correct, or you can just say Team Kirsten is an alien wins over and over. That would be great. So if you guys are cool, I think that's it, right?
Awesome. So let's get our first question. Everyone's ready? Okay. So, if you own the dairy farm, which level of the AWS ML stack will you most likely appreciate the most? Okay, let's see. Show me those numbers. You're not supposed to cheat. Like, people are gonna start putting.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Wait. So.
Yes.
Wait. What's my side? So we have a 3. We have 2. What about you, Solomon?
I got 3.
Is that a 2?
4.
I'm sure it's a 2. I'm sure it's a 3. I'm sure it's a 3. I'm gonna do that. And then, Kashif, what's your answer? I didn't see that one. Oh. Almost popping. Okay, good. It was a 3.
It was a 3.
Okay, fine. So, Team Maple Syrup, like we it is. We need to.
Aliens,
we need to pull this off.
Like, let's go.
Okay. Let's go next question. That's the dairy farm portion, right? So, okay. Let's see your next question. Okay, this time it's a select 2. Which of the following can Amazon Text Track handle that traditional OCR methods struggle with? No fair. You have Kashif. He talked about that. Like, come on. Who made those teams?
I love your cards, Haywood. I don't know why you have those, but I like it.
Every now and then I have to teach big data concepts, so we use big cards.
Big cards for the big data. I love it.
Awesome. Okay, so selecting 2 in the chat, you just put number 3 or number 8 or number 1 or whatever, but 1 by line, and then it will work. Okay, so let's see.
Okay, so we got.
What do you got?
It is at 3 and 4. Yeah. Okay, fine. 3 and 4 for Kashif. What about you, Mona?
3 and
4? Yep. Okay, fine. Okay, we're good on this side too. Wait. I see a 4, Ben. What about the? Oh, damn it!
Don't ignore that one.
Okay. What about you, Solomon? What were your choices?
4 and 3.
4. Oh yes. Okay. We're getting close. We're getting back. Okay. We're getting back in the game. Think. Let's go to the next question.
We're like the Denver Nuggets or something, right?
Yeah. Right. You want to categorize emails received from customers so you can quickly route those emails to the appropriate support channel. Which AI service and feature should you use? Okay. I only got Mona in. Awesome. Okay. Awesome, okay. What about Haywood? Wait.
Yeah, I think you need to add a timeout feature, come on now.
Wait. So Haywood is pushing 2 cards. I say that's -2.
Oh, it's one?
Come on.
It's one answer? Oh, then...
Yeah, I feel like that's you subtract.
Wrong answer for these points.
I got confused because last time it was 2, and I'm like...
I know. So, answer here, 75% of people answered that's the correct. So Amazon Comprehend was the right answer there. You had the advantage with Mona. Like this. Awesome. Oh, yes. I feel like we can win this. According to John, this guy, which little known ingredient is key to filtering out residue while making maple syrup? Hey,
Which little known
I think there is only
there
are 2 people in the chat that knows this answer. Just saying.
Oh,
just use a funnel, please. I didn't even know that was a thing. I shouldn't be.
Yeah.
all right. I don't know.
I think
Wait. So okay, where are we?
It's gotta
Okay.
be the weirdest one, but they're all
Which
weird.
one? Okay. So what did you select, Kashif?
I picked 4.
4. Okay, and then 3 there. Okay. So let's go with the answer. The answer is Team Alien. One more. No. Sorry. Maple syrup. One more point. It's egg whites.
Oh.
It's the secret.
Wait, what?
Hey, I make maple syrup. That's just life.
Oh,
So yeah.
Oh.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
crazy.
total guess there.
Yeah, we got some people in the chat that knew this. That's the good part. Like,
Wow,
maybe they were from my family.
Where are those
I
people
don't know.
from? Chat.
Maybe.
Where are you from that you know the secret to maple syrup? I would like to
said
visit
rice is-
today.
Someone said rice
Maybe
is
they
white.
hang out
Oh my
with me a
gosh.
little bit too much. That may be the reason. Too many late nights
Amazing.
with John. John's basement. Awesome. Okay. You are developing a solution to help organizations search declassified Area 51 documents. Documents
Yeah,
are
you
saved as images. Many of them are of poor quality. So which combination of AWS AI services should you use as part of the solution? Okay, I'm going to give a hint for everyone. Kendra is part of the answer.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, wait.
Okay. Everyone's ready to give the answers? Let's go for it.
Use TextFact to get the answer.
So we have 1, 1, 1, an ace. I don't know what that is. What about you, Cash?
It can be anything.
It's a
It can
1.
be
Odd.
anything.
It's a 1.
I don't think we can interpret those results, so...
It's a 1.
Okay.
Dion.
That's why you have to use A2I.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay,
Where's the checker
fine. Fine. Okay. Everyone got that one. That's good. 100% of people answered right.
Nice.
That's good. Okay. Well, I think that was it. We no,
that it?
I still have 1. No, I'm joking. When using a service like Amazon Personalized, what is a step you'll have to take that you won't need to worry about with other AI services like Amazon Text Track and Amazon Lex?
Ooh. Well, there's 2 more questions, John. There's 1 more after this.
I know. I was joking.
Oh.
I was. I just wanted it to end.
I'm too in the zone. I can't do jokes right now.
Okay, let's see what we have. So 4, 4. What do we have? 4.
Right.
So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 on this end, and 4 there. Okay, we're good. Okay, still tied. Still.
This is not a train lag.
We gotta have it. There's got to be a tiebreaker.
Like we're gonna have to have a tiebreaker. There's got to be a way
that we can win. I can win this.
Gotta have a question about alien neck. I had one about.
Yeah.
Which didn't change.
What about this one?
Oh.
For this special encore episode, Kirsten changed the picture behind her to the ancient Maya city of Chichen Itza. What did she have a picture of in the first 7 episodes of this season? That may be the tiebreaker. This is a hard one.
I like this. Oh, and I want to help my. Oh.
You want to throw them a ball? No,
I may or may not have been there last week, or the last episode. Oh,
chicken pizza.
Let's go for that. Okay.
Chicken pizza.
3, 3. Okay. And another 3. What about you, Mona? What? Is that
I'm confused.
a 1? Okay, no, okay.
Yeah, so I picked 2.
Then you picked 2.
Nobody picked 1, so I picked 1.
Well,
wait, did we lose on that question?
The answer was the moon.
But the thing is, it's my moon, so I should get extra points. So I feel like we get 3 points.
Fine. I'll give you 2. I'll give you 2.
18 to 17.
Oh my gosh.
That's
okay,
awesome.
well, clearly that was not fun. That was not fun.
That was great.
Oh my gosh. Well, you guys, I think with that, everybody in the chat, thank you for playing along. I do think we are at a wrap, a real wrap this time, sadly. And I can honestly say that I have really, really loved the last weeks with everybody talking about AI services, having a good time. Talking about how you can integrate these services and really begin thinking about continuing your own ML journeys and involving us in that process if you want to. This has just been a really epic experience for me. I've never done this before, so thank you guys for having me.
And I just really want to encourage everyone to keep your ML education going. Like there's so many great resources available for you, like documentation, training, hackathons. Like hopefully by now you've started to think about your own yeah, that's another way. Think about your own next steps, right? And we hope that you will include us in your AWS ML journey. So I'm so glad we had everyone back for 6 of our guests back for the last episode and having everyone here and chat for taking the time and joining us tonight. So for today. Awesome.
Definitely. Thank you, everybody.
Cool.
Thank you, Jillian, Solomon, Ben, Mona, Kashif, Haywood, chat, moderators, Dion. You guys are rad. It's been a great time.
Awesome.
That's it for us.
Thank you.
Everyone.
It's been so
Bye.
awesome.
We loved
Bye, you
it
guys.
being here. Yeah. Bye,
Bye.
guys.